All right, next up here, we're going to be graphing some inequalities. So whenever I'm graphing inequalities, I really just graph them like it was an equal sign, with a couple of exceptions here, okay? So first of all, when you graph these, if you have a less than or a greater than with no line underneath, that is going to be a dashed line. So it's going to be looking like this. And then if you have a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, that's going to be a solid line. So if there is a line underneath it, you're going to draw a solid line. If there's no line underneath it, you're going to draw a dashed line. Then you actually have another decision to make after that. And so I'll kind of continue this down here. And so if it's greater than or equal to, so it's opening up to the left and pointing to the right, those are going to be shade above. You're going to color in above. And if it is the other direction, a less than or equal to, you're going to shade below. So if it's pointing to the left and opening up to the right. So there's our kind of instructions here, our notes. So then let's get started here. So first one, 21, y is less than or equal to 5. So first of all, I would graph that as if it was y equals 5. Now remember, when it's y just equals a number, I just think of that like, think of a bunch of points with different x values, but all have a y value of 5. So you can see it would look like this. And that's going to be our horizontal line. Now it's a solid line because of the or equal to, the line underneath. And so that's a solid line. And then we need to, because it is less than, that means we're going to shade below. And so I need to shade that in underneath. It'll be down here. So I'm just going to color that in. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try 22. So this one's actually in y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to start off with my beginning. My b value here is -3. And then my slope is -2/1, so I'm going to go down 2/1 for my next dot. Now, this one is actually a dashed line because there's no line underneath there. So I'm going to draw this as a dashed line. Looks something like that. And then since it's greater than, that's going to mean that it's opening to the left, pointing to the right. That's shade above. So I can pick any point and then just point up, and so I know I'm going to shade up here above that line. All right, next up I'll do number 25 here. So for this one, I need to isolate the y first, and so I'm going to subtract x over here. And so I get -2y is greater than negative, I'm going to call this -1x minus 6. That's going to be easier for us coming up here in a minute. And then next up, I'm going to divide everything by -2. Now when you divide by a negative on these inequalities, that does flip it, so it's going to flip it to a less than sign. And then this will be +1/2 x plus 3. So, and that's because we had a negative divided by a negative will give me a positive. Okay, so I'll start off with my +3 here. So I go up 3 and draw my point. And then my slope is 1/2, so I'm going to go up 1/2 for my next point. There's no line underneath this one. It's just a less than, so I'm going to draw it as a dashed line. And then it's less than, so that's shaded underneath the line.